All right, greetings. I'm back. I've been meaning to do this and I completely forgot about that poll that I did a week or two ago. Probably about 2 weeks ago. Let me grab my charger before we even get started because I need to make sure my stuff is charged. What's wrong with you, Loki? Okay, so I know. Hold on. Don't want to get ahead of myself too quick. All right, so I forgot about that poll that we had a couple weeks ago and how many of you guys voted for some specific things, which I'm not surprised because where we're at on our spiritual journey is very important, right? Or like at least keeping tabs on that. So that's very important to see where we're at. So you guys wanted to talk about a couple of topics. And some of those topics being like your spiritual journey, as far as readings are concerned, and then some of the topics you guys wanted to talk about, love discernment. I actually should have talked about that because this whole thing, disclaimer, when I talk about like celebrities and public figures, it's all speculation because we don't really know these people personally, right? So it's like speculation, alleged, things like that. But with the whole presentation of Megan the Stallion and Klay Thompson, um, I feel there's a few things that I feel like are important to take from love discernment just based off of the presentation because for all we know this could be a fucking publicity stunt, right? With celebrities they be pulling stunts. But in all fairness, Megan the Stallion does tend to have public relationships, right? Put a lot of her relationships public, and presents, a very lover girl energy, right? So with this, it's like with all, if you whether you're a Megan the Stallion fan or you just observe, and you know a bit about her story, you know that this is a woman that has gone through tons of loss, um, no like mother, father, just kind of alone in the world, and then giving to the men that she's been with. On top of that, the whole Tory Lane situation, not everybody, having her best interest in the men, constantly free Tory, this, anything concerning her, it's, being called a man and this and that, a 304, all these things, right? All these stigmas. And then you finally see her with this guy that doesn't present the bad boy, the hood dude archetype, and you think, oh, this is different. She's hanging out with his family, she's cooking for his family, sitting courtside with his mama, and you thinking like, oh, this better be it. He seems like that guy. But I was rooting for it to an extent, but I knew based off of just other things that I've read in the media about Klay Thompson, he's a fucking cheater. And like, okay, NBA players, like, that's a given. Okay. NBA ninjas, they are prone to cheat. Like, that's just, they have that stigma around them, that reputation of groupies and getting groupies pregnant, all of that. So Klay Thompson does not have a good history when it comes to dating, right? And definitely when it comes to being faithful. You would hope that, oh, this is different. This might be it for her. But let's do the love discernment. And of course, I'm gonna tap into like the spiritual, um, our spiritual wellness. We'll talk about that. So I might timestamp this because I don't want people to be sitting through something and they're like, bitch, that's not what I came here for. But I will timestamp it. I don't have my microphone, so if I sound far away, you guys, if my sound is not good, just be real with me. Just be honest. Be like, I can't hear you, girl. Okay. Even with headphones, a speaker, I can't hear you, girl. I can't hear you. Okay. So, love discernment, because that was one of the topics that was top voted on my poll that I did a couple of weeks ago, was that you guys wanted to discuss that. So, perfect timing and opportunity to talk about Megan Thee Stallion and Klay Thompson, because it's a public relationship. It's up for public display and scrutiny. So let's get into it. So with love discernment, how do you know, read and understand people, including yourself? Because when you go into dating, when you go into any relationship, romantic specifically, we're talking about, but any relationship really, you have to have self awareness and where you play into a connection. And when it comes to love and relationships, where you're at in your readiness, in your heart space. Because I can't speak for Megan, but I will say, due to the history that has been on display about her, I wonder if she's fully healed from that displacement of not having a mother in her life any longer, right? Losing her mother. What that looks like for her. How does she move around in the world like that, right? Or I'm not sure if her father, I think her father is not here either. I'm not sure about that, but like not having that figure in your life. And then on top of that, the relationships and dating. And I know like these rappers and artists, they like, the women, female rappers like to present this hot girl. I just get, get money, keep it moving, just take from these dudes, don't look for love from them, da, da, da. But then when you see their public relationships, and speaking of Cardi B, they want to be wives, they want to be loved, they want to be in union, right? They want monogamy, right? They go to the ends of the earth for their lovers. So, and you see it and they say it out of their mouth, like, I've done this for them and I've done that for them, and you cheat on me, you do this to me. So obviously that's what they want. They want that family, they want that unity. So going back to self-awareness, where you're at with your readiness for a relationship. Granted, we can't guarantee that we won't get our heart broken. We can't guarantee that the person that we're giving ourselves to is going to not, we can't guarantee that this person is not going to disappoint us. Humans will always disappoint you. We disappoint others. We can disappoint ourselves, right? The humanness in this is that love is not about, if I do it, if I open up myself to this man or this woman, then it has to guarantee that I won't get hurt. Like, you don't know that. Even the person that has the best intentions for you, that may genuinely really love you, could still hurt you, right? You know what I mean? Our family has the power to hurt us, even if they don't mean to. Our friends, like, we can say and do things that could hurt each other, even if that's not the intent. Or we could have our own internal issues and hurt other people based off that. So your readiness is not based off of, oh, will I ever get cheated on? Will this person ever hurt me? Your readiness is based off of your willingness to go into the relationship with an open heart, but still move wisely to say, this, if this connection takes away from my peace, if this person at any point abuses me, disrespects me, me and this person, am I ready? Am I emotionally prepared to even be available for someone else? Right? Not just be available for the dates, the sex, and the public, this is my man, or this is my girl, my woman, and this and that, or just to say you have somebody, but are you ready for the ups and downs? 'Cause it's not always going to be beautiful, but the ups and downs does not excuse abuse. It does not okay abuse and toxicity, right? So your readiness is, it goes alongside with discernment, right? Patterns, okay? Patterns of, like, recognizing patterns in people is important. It's not you judging a person harshly going into a relationship and putting a label on a person and saying, oh, he probably like this, oh, she's probably like this. No. Patterns is when you give a person, the openness to date and see where it goes. Because when you're dating, it should not be a checklist of, if this is this my husband or my wife, right? For those of you that are lover girls, lover boys, You should not go into any relationship thinking that. You should go in thinking, do I like this person as a person? Because a lot of people make the mistake of getting in relationships with someone that they just think hypothetically about. Hey, Tawanda. Or they see as desirable on paper. They're handsome, they're beautiful, they have this, they have that. They make me feel like this, they make me feel like that. But is this person's character mean something to you? Because when we're young and we're immature, we only think about, oh, he cute or oh, she's pretty, right? Um I like the way this makes me feel. And this person could treat you like shit. They could be a complete asshole to you, but when you start to develop emotional maturity, the type of partner that you desire is someone that makes you feel grounded in yourself, makes you feel at peace and at ease. When you are into dating the bad boys or the bad bitches, they're exciting, right? The toxicity, the inconsistency. Does he want me? Does she want me? Is he gonna call me? Is he gonna text me? Why is he ignoring me? He's in and out. It's this back and forth, and it's toxic, and you kind of gravitate to that over time. But when you get tired of that, when you get older within yourself or wiser and emotionally more mature, like I said, you'll desire things that are that bring peace and ease to your life, that bring consistency, that bring clarity to you, that provides a level of security and support for you, where you don't feel on edge all the time, where you're not crying all the time, where you're not constantly angry, where you have to check somebody's phone all the time and where you at and who is this. That's just too much. And somebody being fine or somebody having some status or money, that's not enough. You know what I mean? To some women maybe it is, or to some men, oh, she's a headache, but she's, she good, she's good in bed, or she's bad, and this like that, and that's not enough, right? It's not enough. With the whole thing with Megan, I feel like, just in my opinion, um Clay presented this safe type of presentations from what she's used to, this safe family guy, like almost square type energy a little bit, where he seems and appears safe. But if a man has already has a track record, I'm sure women in the industry, it's a small circle, right? Where some women, the word can go around like, oh, he's like this. And some women, when you want a guy, you're not trying to hear none of that. Like, you could hear other women saying, oh, he has a track record of cheating and he's not faithful. And you'll just tune that out and be like, oh, she's probably hating, or not with me, I can change him. And I call this I can change him the good pussy theory, where a woman thinks that her vajayjay, her where they believe that their body parts and their skills of the with their body parts is enough to keep a man, um keep him. In essence, no. No. You're cooking, you're cleaning, like what Megan did. This is another thing. I'm jumping around. So we talk about patterns. We're going to talk about the labor of a relationship, and this can tie into the whole readiness thing, like your readiness to be in a relationship or to get back out and date again. If you're laboring for free for a man that has not put a ring on it, has not even made it apparent and clear, and some men will even lie in your face and say that they want to marry you, and maybe they do, right? Men are so complex with shit. So some, I'm not gonna say all, but some men are so uh they're very cynical with their intentions sometimes, but or they can tell you like, I want to be with you and I want to marry you, and that could be true, but then there's still those patterns and those ways about them where they're still doing things that are not very husband material things, right? Or they want you as a wife because they know the value of keeping you in their life, not because they value you, but they understand the value that you hold, right? So, you can never really tell until a person really shows you that they're really in it. The thing with this is that I feel like two things that you can kind of take from Love Discernment from Megan and Clay's presentation of their relationship. Like I said, it could be PR, but just from what it appears to be, not so much. To me, cooking for his family and like she cooked, when I say this heifer cooked a whole meal by herself. And anybody that knows like cooking home cooked meals, especially such as like holidays, like Thanksgiving and Christmas dinners and stuff like that, how much time that takes in it. Some people cook a day before, prep their food a day before the actual said holiday. Some people get up early in the morning, wee hours in the morning, start cooking. And that sometimes is like grandma and auntie and mama. You might be in the kitchen, like that's multiple people, but one person cooking all that for all the motherfuckers. Did you see that big ass table? Okay, so you know how much energy it took to do that, right? That's laboring, right? For your boyfriend. I get it. As a lover girl, I get it. When you genuinely love people, and cooking is a love language too. Cooking and taking care of, that's a nurturing community thing, communal thing, to cook for people that you love, for your tribe. And the other part of that, I feel like, is again going back to the absence of that mother energy in her life, wanting to have some type of family type of bond and connection. So it's not just about him, it's really like your family is my family type vibe, right? So she took care of everybody in that sense. That's a lot of labor for somebody you're just dating, right? Love gestures and things like that. It's not to say withhold your kindness and love giving. And if you are someone that love languages in service, love languages and gifts, to say like don't be that girl, but at this, or even that guy. But again, it comes with discernment. There's certain things like laboring wise, like if, let's say, you're building a friendship with somebody, and I notice this a lot about friendships, is that people become codependent too, like they click too soon. They don't allow the relationship or the friendship to unfold naturally as quickly. Let's gravitate, let's hold on to this, and not giving yourself time to get to know that person, and later friends are falling out. Same thing when people get married, they're following the thrill of it, they like how it feels in the beginning, but they haven't allowed themselves to go through life and journey through life together, where you have your times where you'll be that desirable person. And desirable sometimes is when you're always happy, when you're always you know down for sex or what have you, or whatever the case may be. As long as it's fun, we going out on dates, we're taking trips together, as long as we haven't had our first argument yet. That's the desirable parts of it. But then when you see the human parts of each other, or the parts that might be a little bit annoying, you won't even allow yourself to motion through that to see if this is a connection or a person that is worth it. It's like, let's get together, let's get married, let's move in, let's do this. Oh, you my bestie. And you don't really know that person for real. You don't know how they deal with challenges in life. You don't know how this person may deal with depression, or their patterns, their childhood traumas. Like some things might stick out in the beginning, like red flags, or I shouldn't even say just red flags, but like human things, like a person's inner child, their attachment style. Certain things will start to slowly but surely show up. And the more comfortable you become with the person, the more you reveal about yourself, even if you don't mean to, and vice versa. So, with relationships, when you give too much of yourself too soon, especially when this person hasn't truly proven to you that they can be monogamous and faithful through and through, mm, you know, like just lesson learned. Like the family thing too, and this is another thing, like trying to prove yourself as a woman, like I'm the good woman, you should see me as that. I'm not competing for that. I learned that I'm not trying to prove shit to no human. If me being me is not enough for you, then it's not enough for you. um that's just where it's at. You know what I'm saying? Like that's just it. You have to see if you even like the motherfucker. Like, do you even like this person as a person, not just as your partner, and just how they make you feel romantically. And how, okay, another thing that was said that stood out to me was Megan was saying how Klay would blow up and have like these mood swings, and it would be terrible. Like, so what was he doing? Cussing you out, calling you bitches and hoes, and like, yelling at you, throwing shit, like what, like, and that At that point, you ain't about to turn into the Incredible Hulk in front of me. Because, like, to me, if you, like, again, how does a person handle pressure? How does this person handle their down seasons? That matters, right? And you have a right to opt out. If you're not married, and that's why I say, like, before you even marry a person, you should know enough about this person or spend a great deal enough of time or a period of time to know if this person is someone that you can spend your days with and like share a household with the person. Boyfriend and girlfriends moving in with each other and splitting bills and on each other's lease is not wise at all. Spending the night maybe for a week or something like that to kind of get a vibe over time, like, every now and then spend the night at each other's house, kind of get a vibe and a sense of how this person runs their household, what it feels like to be in this person's space, how it feels to have this person in your space before you just like, oh, let's move in together or let's go get married. People just rush shit. That's the problem. The rushing everything. You don't know people. And yeah, some people can hide shit well, but you can't hide it that well. Like, oh, I didn't know he was a narcissist. Girl, if you look back, spend enough time with a person and then take a step back from a person, all that shit will register. Oh, yeah, this person would say this. This person would do X, Y, and Z. You'll see all that shit. And it was always there. So you can't say, oh, I didn't know. Maybe not in the beginning. But if you give yourself time to just process connections and flow through a connection, and pay attention with enough self-awareness, you have to go into a relationship with the utmost care for yourself and your well-being. And this is where self-awareness comes in and emotional awareness. How does things make you feel? And not every uncomfortable feeling is a sign of danger. Sometimes it's fears you have to work through. Sometimes something's being triggered that you have not resolved within yourself. It's not always a red flag, right? Again, self-awareness, emotional awareness. Okay, this is triggering this part of me. It's not to say, oh, because this person said something specific that automatically I'm in danger. Sometimes it might trigger a response from something that happened to you. So you're responding to that. But patterns do not lie, right? That's why I say character should be the first thing that you look at a person when you're dating, not thinking, is this person going to be my man or my woman or my husband or my wife? When we going to get in the bed? Oh, they so fine. Psh, get out of that la la land. Date with your head screwed on, right? Date with your head screwed on. When you go in with low stakes, you're not putting a high stake on, I'm going out here and dating from a perspective of I gotta get chose, I gotta get wifed up, or I gotta find me a wife, or I gotta find me a man, I need a woman. When you're not going into it like that, you can pace yourself better. You go in thinking that you're the prize and not thinking that you're the prize like in a conceited way, but from a place of self-worth that I'm not allowing anybody to treat me like shit. You got to show me a little bit more. You got to show me some consistency. You have to show me good, like that you're a good character. And let people give you that. Don't give them the blueprint to fuck you over, to play mind games on you. Let people speak for themselves. And even if somebody's trying to tailor and mold themselves to who they think you want them to be or the type of man or woman that they assume that you want, they're always good. The mask will always fall off. It will always fall off, you know. And that comes from also mixed signals. Mixed signals with a person, like when it comes to love discernment, when a person is giving you mixed signals, I don't take the risk anymore of just reading it as, oh, maybe it's this or maybe it's that. It's like, well, if this person is unclear about me, then I'm not making any assumptions or giving this person too much of the benefit of the doubt, because like where there's confusion, that's unsafe and your nervous system feels that. You're never going to feel safe in confusion and mixed signals. That's number one. So, like, why even press the issue too much? You know what I mean? And it sucks because you can like a person, you could vibe with the person and want well for that situation. But if that person is putting you in a line of uncertainty, I wouldn't cave into that. It's not worth you caving into. You know what I mean? If somebody really desires you and wants you, they will show up even when their fears say otherwise, right? Even if they deal with insecurity, like they're gonna put themselves in the position of what they want. Selfish people, I noticed this as well. Selfish people, because humans are complex. We're not that simple, really. Sometimes, like, even when a person knows that they're not ready for you, they'll position themselves in a space to be with you before they know that they're ready. And I feel the whole thing with going back to, because we're using this as just example, Megan the Stallion in this Klay Thompson situation, character, whatever. The desirability of women that have certain statuses and things like that, like this is where some of that siphoning energy and energy vampire vibes come through some men sometimes, where they will gravitate towards women who have something energetically on a level that, they want to say, I experienced that, I had that, you know what I mean? Before they're ready, and they will position themselves like they're ready and they're this or they're that, and they'll wine and dine you and they'll bring you around their family. Those type of men, too, that might be a whole nother topic. How to discern warlocks and energy vampires and siphoners, because unfortunately, what I'm learning and what I've experienced in the past and like looking back, that is a very big thing that a lot of women go through in dating and even in marriages and stuff like that, is dealing with men that are just siphoning their fucking energy and taking from them, benefiting from their energies and their essences. And I seen this video last night where she broke it down so in a way that I didn't even think, but she was like, when men lack femininity, they lack that inner balance of femininity and masculinity within themselves. They're void of their femininity. They will seek to siphon that from women. And the femininity energy is not just what we think, like, oh, she's pretty. She wears dresses and gowns and high heels and makeup and big, fluffy, voluptuous, voluminous, whatever hair. Um, it's the essence of a woman that is in tune with their inner self. They're intuitive, they're empathic, they're nurturing, they're creative, they are uh, alluring, right? They are empowered. So they will go for the women that don't know their worth sometimes, the ones that do play small, but they usually like the ones that they feel like, because it's almost like it's two things in one for some men. It's the I'ma humble that bitch. Like, who does she think she is type energy, right? She thinks she's this, she thinks she's that. Let me humble her. It's that. And there's also this energy of I'm I'm drawn to it. I like it. It's sexy to me. She makes me feel safe. She makes me feel seen. She makes me feel at home. I feel like something next to her. But at the same time, I'm jealous of that, because why can't I find that within myself? And they'll take that energy. And I'm paraphrasing because I'm going off of what I've experienced, of what I've seen, and what I've observed from just how men can take from women's energy and the type of women that they go for. And I talk about siren archetypes a lot as well, where I feel like the siren archetype is definitely um, one of the main targets of warlock energy and male siphoners, and just anyone siphoning and using the energy. Because you think about the ocean, you think of the depths of the ocean and the treasures that go with that, the hidden treasures, the power, the allure, the magnetism, um, just the activation of being connected to water and its cleansing and its purification and its reflecting back to you, the level of depth, the power, the rage, all of that, the motion, um, how powerful that energy is, and how people will seek to take from that, because it's endless. It holds so much depth and resource. Why not? Why wouldn't I want to take and experience that for myself? Type of energy, right? So you must be careful with that. And like, if you're dealing with people that wish to siphon your energy, you'll find yourself not even knowing who you are anymore once that relationship is done. And I've experienced this not just in romantic situations, but with some friendships where You'll have some people that cloak themselves as friends, and then, once they've taken your light, they've torn you down enough, they've took you off your path or kind of got you to a place of distraction. You don't know where you were, where you began, where you end. You don't know anymore, right? They've torn you down so much, they've isolated you so much, but you don't even know, you don't know who you are. Same thing with romantic relationships. You could lose yourself so much in that. And that said person, that partner, they're off living their life, probably in another relationship. They got things and you're struggling to figure it out. That is how you know your energy's been siphoned. So this can happen. And it don't have to just be through sex. Sex is one of the powerful ways that partners can siphon a person's energy, but it also comes from the labor. It also comes from you giving all of your gifts, all of your time, your energy and focus to other people to build up their life, to build up their self-esteem, for them to find themselves. And you're just building that person up for opportunities for themselves or for another relationship, another man or another woman. And then you're just left empty handed. You got to be careful with that type of shit, right? Because that's the thing. And I feel like same thing with Megan. I hope she's not in a state of where she's feeling lost because or thinking that, oh, this was supposed to be my husband, because that's one of the most heart-wrenching things that a woman could ever deal with, and maybe I'm sure for men as well, where you think that that person is your one. You think you're gonna marry this person, right? Or you think this is it, right? This man or this woman is different, and then they turn out not to be that. You know what I mean? They turn out not to be that person that you thought they were gonna be. They end up being somebody completely, a complete lesson. Like, what the fuck did I like? What was that? You know what I mean? Like, what just happened? um, why? Right? Um, so I hope that that's not the thing because you have to pick up the pieces with that. It's just like what how relationships can destroy you on a spiritual level, on a mental and emotional level, sometimes like physically, like you'll lose sleep, you'll start, looking tired and drained, losing weight, gaining weight. Um, you know what I mean? Like that's why it's very important, you guys. Like from what I learned, like I have to be honest, I do not trust as easily as I once did in relationships and even in connections with people just in general because especially nowadays, and this might tie in now into the spiritual journey and energy that we go through. In these days and time, there's a lot of wickedness in the world. A lot of wicked people and like people's hearts are exposed. Like you can see what's in the heart of a person so clearly now, um just how diabolical. And you know our safety and wellness is important when it comes to the people that we decide to befriend, who we decide to be in romantic relationship and partnership with is so important. Like you have to identify in the beginning the signs, which is why I can tell you this from experience, and probably other people can attest to this, that if you go into relationships with any human being with any type of desperation or codependency, a lack of self worth or understanding your worth, and you go into that relationship, you will forfeit your safety. You will forfeit your discernment because you just want connection. And that is a dangerous thing. I see so many women or just people in general that are very sensitive and very empathic, and they want to see everybody from a love lens. If everybody has the capacity to do better or be better, I wish them wellness and, I hope for the best. But when you go in with that and you start ignoring the toxicity, you start ignoring the abuse, you start ignoring the shady comments, the sneaky, underhanded, undertones, snarkiness. You start to like ignore yourself just for the sake of wanting to see the good in people, or because you've already forged a relationship, or you allowed them to forge a relationship with you before you even understood what this connection was really about. Who is this person really? Before you said, oh, this is my man, or this is my woman, or this is my bestie. You didn't allow yourself time to even get to know who that person is. You have to spend time with people intimately When they feel comfortable enough to show you who they are, because they will eventually. And sometimes people feel like they're just so slick that they can get away with it. But humans subconsciously speak for themselves, where they're not even thinking, like, oh, I just said something that is actually exposing my intentions. Like, some people don't even think that deep into conversations. When they're having conversations with people, they think they just, like, oh, yeah, I got this bitch in the bag. Yeah, she all, yeah. No. And you might have just said something or exposed something to her, and she already looking at you sideways, but you don't know that because you're so caught up in your game. Discernment is everything. That's one thing I can, like, if nothing else, discernment is everything. And self-worth and self-love is everything. Because if you don't lead with that and you put everybody before yourself in a way that detrimental to you, you put all this emotional labor on yourself for the sake of other human beings, which doesn't make sense, because that is unfair to you. Are they repaying you that same energy? Do they give a fuck about you enough to be like, oh, I'll just give them a pass? No, not always, right? Selfish motherfuckers most definitely don't give a damn about your well-being. They just want what they want when they want it, how they want it. They don't care if you're sick, you're tired. You know what I'm saying? Um, and one thing that I could tell you too, because I might do it, like I said, a separate video on warlock energies. How you're dealing with somebody like that, a warlock? They like to suck their energy, like almost like an energy vampire, but they need your energy to conjure and to manifest and attract. And this is one thing that I can attest to, and I agree with when other people, I've heard a few other people say this when they discuss warlocks, is that some warlocks, men, will get with women that they know are desirable, not so much for the sake of, like, I want to be with her, but because they know that when you're with a woman that is, let's say, popular or very attractive or very successful, she has a lot of resources, that magnetize women to that said man. Sometimes that man could even be, like, sexually confused and not really, 100% about women, that they kind of take on that feminine energy resource for themselves. Like, they actually covet that woman. You know what I mean? Like, again, it goes back to the whole jealousy. Who does she think she is? Right? Especially if they struggle with their own sexuality, and they may resent femininity within themselves. So when they see another woman embody a certain level of femininity, and like I said, femininity is not just exclusive to high heels and dresses and the color pink and soft spokenness, and it's not the Stepford wife. That's a patriarchal uh display, or just I feel like a one archetype that they like to display as femininity, when femininity is actually very vast and it's not a monolith, it's very multifaceted. So femininity is when you embody and you're confident and comfortable within yourself and who you are, where you trust yourself, you flow and move through your energy, you are empathic, you're aware, you're intuitive, um you're nurturing, you're receptive. And when you're receptive, a lot of times you're resourceful. You are abundant when you are receptive, in an abundance in the sense of not just like you got tons of money or necessarily material items, but abundant in joy and peace, those sorts of things, right? Inner confidence, and just I'm me and I embrace that. That's why you find a lot of men trying to humble the women that don't give a fuck, especially women such as like Megan Thee Stallion that shake a little ass in public. And some people might be like, that ladies don't do that, right? Like, you ain't supposed to be like that. You're not supposed to dress like that, or you're too fucking outspoken. You talk too much. That I feel like femininity is when you embody and you own your embodiment. That triggers people, no matter what that embodiment is. Whether you are the soft spoken that wears the high heels and dresses, whether you are the one that shakes a little bit of ass, whether you are the one that is the outspoken one that's not afraid to show her intelligence, that is sovereign in who they are, that's the type of women they want to tear down. That's their favorite. And that's the type of energy you want to siphon, because that's powerful energy. Who wouldn't want that? And if you don't embody that within yourself and you don't know how, going back to the video that I saw, the woman had made a point. She said the reason why they resent the feminine energy so much is because they don't have the courage to tap into their own femininity. And if you're programmed to think femininity is weakness, it's gay, it's, it's too soft, oh, um gullibleness, because femininity requires you to tap into your inner self, to listen to yourself. When you're just overly masculine, you become tyrant, you become a a bully, you become overly assertive, you become almost abusive, forceful, and not in a healthy, balanced way. You have to have balance as a human being, as a soul, as a spirit. You have to have balance. If you're too good, that's not a good thing. If you're overly too demanding, you become someone that people don't like. You're not grounded in your essence and your energy. So the laziness of self work goes back. Let's go. I'm jumping around, but it's all tying together. It's intertwined. But our spiritual journey, when people try to bypass doing their shadow work or dealing with the uncomfortable parts of themselves or what they're encountering, they don't want to deal with shit, which is why so many people love escapism. They love drugs. They love uh just they love getting intoxicated, they love some form of escapism, they love bullshit, they love drama, because as long as I'm not in that realm of dealing with my inner self and what's going on with me, and I don't have to take accountability or take responsibility, because taking accountability requires change requires effort and work, and some humans just don't want to do that. They don't have the time and the energy. um and some people, I feel like, use therapy also as a means to just kind of be able to trauma dump on a person professionally, trauma dump. But you have to really do the inner work as well. You have to really sit with yourself. And I can tell you that's not fun all the time. Like, it's not. Sometimes you just want to get it, like, you're tired of your own shit sometimes, that you're just like, I gotta work through this. And you get kind of pressed to that point, and you can become frustrated with yourself. And some people just say, nope, I'm gonna numb. Nope, I'm a trauma dump. Nope, I'm gonna blame my mama. I'm gonna blame my daddy. I'm gonna blame my exes. I'm gonna blame this bitch over here, this person, that person, this person, this person, that person. And you're just gonna find yourself in this loop. And I say this all the time, that healing is a journey, and it has layers, especially if it's deep rooted and it's shit that you haven't dealt with in years or since childhood. Some things you just become aware of, like, oh, I didn't even know, but that was what was holding me back. It's not fun. And I will tell you another thing too. When you're going through your spiritual process of cleansing and eliminating and working through your shadows, you're going to go through spiritual warfare in a way of things trying to pull you back, and the warfare may seem like it's not warfare, in a sense of, like, let's say a honeypot, honeypot in certain military positions, where they'll send a woman, a very attractive woman, and sit her next to that person that they wish to assassinate and to get, right? And hope that he'll fall for this woman and trust her enough to become weak where they can catch up to him and get him, right? So, same thing like this, when you're going through spiritual warfare and you're doing the work, you're breaking free from your own blockages, repeated cycles, things like that. You'll have these people that will come into your life seeming like angels in disguise just to get close to you, to throw you off your motherfucking path, or to distract you. Or you'll have that open warfare where you'll get attacked in a way of people tearing you down, people attacking you, coming at the very things that you're trying to work through, especially if you deal with things such as abuse in different ways, where every person in your life that you've ever loved, they seem to kind of model after a certain pattern or archetype, where they either use you, they take advantage of you, they don't appreciate you. You're underappreciated, constantly laboring, constantly showing up for everybody, constantly dumbing yourself down so that no one feels a type of way about you. And people love that. They benefit off of this. Is the thing that I want a lot of people to get. And I'm sorry if I'm jumping around, but this is something that I want certain individuals that you think that you're not much because all of your life, maybe people have told you you ain't shit. Why do you have to tell a person they ain't shit constantly if that's the case? What are you trying to convince? When a person constantly tells you that you're nothing, you're never going to amount to anything, you're stupid, and they have to constantly tell you that, those are word curses to bind your intelligence, to bind up your power, to bind up and still kill and destroy that voice and that seed. And don't think for a second that your friends and family can't be used. Some people are in your life for karmic lessons. I don't mean to get too far into things or too deep, or maybe I don't know how, that's going to make you feel, but some people are just in our lives to teach us lessons. Some people are in our lives really sent as enemies and spiritual assassinators to assassinate your energy and your spirit and your soul, to keep you encapsulated, if that's even a word. So you don't have to be the most boastful, the most extroverted person to be powerful. Silence is power as well. Your mind is powerful. Just the words that you speak are powerful. You don't have to be loud. You don't have to be, too much. You can be powerful in just that. And people can sense that energy on you and they feel some type of way about it. You might be like, why are people always coming after me? Why are people always attacking me? Why are people always acting like funny towards me? Why are like people are jealous? Jealousy, people think jealousy oftentimes is because of how attractive you are, which that's a thing because people, two things, they may not think this, but on a subconscious level, you ain't just looking at a person and going, oh, she thinks she cute. Part of it, oh, she thinks she's cute. Jealousy comes from you worried about some dude. Like, is she gonna take all the no goods anyway? Like, you worried about the wrong thing. Like, some of these dudes, who gives a fuck what they think, right? That's the surface level part of it. The deeper subconscious level is that beauty actually is a currency in this world. It gets people to notice you. So if you have beauty and brains, you have a level of depth, you carry spiritual weight on you, and people know that or they sense that maybe on a subconscious level their spirit senses that from you. They know that if enough people pay attention to you, there's currency in that. There's jealousy with that. So it's not always about beauty in that sense, but other things people think often, oh, I'm jealous because this person has more money than me or they're successful. Again, surface level jealousy of people's material things is because obviously you're worried about what you don't have, and successes look like importance in this world. Social currency is look like somebody of importance in this world. Therefore, this person has community. This person is loved. So if you think you don't have community, if you don't think that you're loved, there your jealousy goes there. But the true reason why people envy people, especially those that may be like, well, I'm not much of this, I don't have this, I don't have that, it's because of the essence and energy that you possess and that you have. You may walk into, again, it goes back to full embodiment. You could be a man and have masculine and feminine energy balance inside of you where you're fully embodied. You know yourself. You have to have both click to be balanced within self. You have to be in sync with your feminine and masculine self. And when you are, or for the most part, right, because we're all evolving, we're constantly growing, we're constantly healing and bettering ourselves. But when you're more so balanced in your energy rather than not, you carry a certain essence and energy and stature that you may not think, but when you walk into a room, people smell that on you. And you might walk, you're not walking with your head down, you're not walking slump, you might be walking smiling or just at ease or at peace. A lot of times when you're embodied, because this is like a whole energy download. Hold on. How do I explain this? Even if you walk into a room self-conscious, like, oh my God, nervous, blah, 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 your awareness, you walking in and you already know that you have social anxiety or you know that you're a person that's working through certain things, that's self-awareness. Some people don't even go that far into themselves. They don't know certain things about themselves. They don't really care to go into it. They don't care to learn themselves. They don't know certain things. So You'll give off a different energy, even if you're having a fucking bad day. You might be like, I'm having a bad day, but I have the power to change it. Let me walk into this room, this space, this energy, or this day with that mindset. That's embodiment. That is self-awareness. That is attunement. Where some people are just like, oh, fuck everybody, I'm having a bad day, and they just spill it on everybody. That's not a person that's embodied or grounded or balanced. So of course, certain people, they're not going to gravitate to your energy in a way where they're welcoming to you, because again, your energy also too is going to expose a motherfucker's energy. It's going to expose them to them. That goes back to the siren energy. You are a mirror. You reflect back to people their emotions. You reflect back to them their inner world, their subconscious, their water within inside of them, that subconscious realm, that emotional energy. You expose that to them just by being there, just by being in people's presence, and they don't like it, and they don't know how to see themselves through you, because all they do is project. They just sit, they don't go within, they immediately go, oh, this person think they all that, instead of going in and, and asking themselves like, why is he or she bothering me? Why don't I like this person? And you ever hear people say, I just don't, it's just something about them, I just don't like them. Well, why? Why? Well, like you gotta, you when you don't like somebody, at least for me, when I don't like a motherfucker, I know why I don't like a motherfucker. I know. Like, I don't like said person because they're not a good person, they're a mean spirited person, or they're very rude or whatever. Right? You know why you don't like a person. Sometimes you can feel an energy off about a person, just don't know why, but just blatantly make a statement. I just don't like this motherfucker. It's just something about her. I don't know what it is. I don't like her. Bitch is jealousy. And even deeper than that, it's a wound that you need to deal with yourself. Why you're jealous. That's where you really need to let's like under the umbrella of jealousy, what is the deeper root that's causing that jealousy? Because it's not enough to just I just don't. Because you can taste some food and be like, ew, this food is disgusting. And you know why it's disgusting. It may not got no taste to it. It might be too mushy. It might be overcooked. It might undercooked. But to just be like, I don't like him. I just like, like people, it's just too much. Like, and everybody just too deep and too spiritual with everything. It's just, oh, this person. I just feel like if if you're spiritual, you shouldn't be talking about that. Then it's just like, shut the fuck up. Just shut up. That's how I be feeling about something. Just shut the fuck up. You know, because I feel like with the whole spiritual journey and the energy of the collective right now, it's a lot of dismantling. And in the dismantling, you have to have exposure. And it's not just exposing the negativity of, oh, the government and this, it's going to expose your inner world within yourself. Number one, motherfucker. So you can reinvent yourself. And spirit is going to use community, collective, family to do that. Right? If we're in the age of Aquarius, we got to dissect some shit. We got to break some shit down. We coming into awareness, revelation, the eon, right? That is revealing things. Reveal. Okay, so it's not just about, oh, this person, the Epstein, and like, okay, that's part of the revealing, but also as a collective, a community of energies and people, the revealing is going to start within you, and spirit may use the people around you to do that, like times 10, times 11, times 12, or 12,000. I don't know, but yeah. Your spiritual journey right now, you have to process too. You have to process things. They talk about, and this is another thing too about the Bible that I be getting downloads as I'm talking. I still haven't even talked about, I want to do that because I've had a couple of people talk about asked me, I should say, to talk about the Bible in the way that I do. But if you think about the book of Revelations being kind of the age of Aquarius energy, because Revelations just means to reveal, but in the Bible, it's like that's the end, um, and all of that. And they talk about spiritual warfare a lot in the book of Revelations. They talk about the awakening, the destruction of even just, I believe Babylon is discussed, the whore of Babylon, and a lot of people equate that to the Americas, the United States of Americas, as the whore of Babylon and its destruction and its fall. And its destruction and its fall doesn't have to be by fire and brimstone, but more so the destruction of systems, which we're seeing that right now. Like that shit is going on right now. I used to be scared. Like if you would have asked me about the book of Revelations back in 2012 when I like attempted to fully go into that, and I was just like I could not read it because it was so scary, because I'm reading it from the way that the church would have you read it, in this fear-based energy, and this is the end of the world where it's totally destroyed and Christ comes back. He has to fight Satan and his angels and this and that. But over the years, and even just paying attention to patterns and certain prophecies, you see that shit in real time, right? You're seeing how Revelations actually is playing out, what these words actually mean. And some of the ages within the Bible are aged based off of the zodiacs, off of the time of Aries, off of the time of Taurus, things like that. The astrology is very big in the Bible as well. Certain characters like Christ energy can talk about solar worship, but also Christ energy, if I'm not mistaken, is associated to Virgo. Could be wrong. I know the Virgin with the 12 crowns on her head, which is depicted in the Empress card in tarot, that's Virgo energy as well. But it can also represent the Sophia, Mother Goddess energy. The Kabbalah, I should say, is also depicted throughout the tarot as well. It's a lot that goes interconnected. And I don't mean to jump skip around, but yeah, the book of Revelations, if you like read into it more, you can see, if you're not taking it super literal, super like bit by bit, this is how it is, this is what it's going to play out to be, and just kind of, I would say, read it spiritually, read it from a esoteric, but also with practicality too, like common sense. Like, okay, four horses can represent four things, right? Or what is it, the four horsemen, or the horses of the apocalypse? They represent different things, right? So you can kind of look at what's going on in the world and kind of place those energies there, and not from a Christian fanatical standpoint of, oh, the world is ending, but no, this structure, this system is falling because it's a system. The Bible is not meant to be taken literally. If you did, you would be so confused. It would be so much contradictions that you'll find in the Bible. It's just like people picked and choose, put certain things at certain laws, certain things for their own benefit, for their own agendas. It's a whole bunch of mixing. And nowhere in this Bible is it really talking about the divine creator whatsoever. Like, it's just not, right? It's not. So, yeah. Hmm. I don't know. Any thoughts? Y'all have any thoughts? I was gonna do a reading, but that wasn't reading enough because that was a lot of channeling, child. I didn't pull not one card yet. I was going to. I thought about it, but I didn't even mean to get into the whole love discernment thing just yet either, because that should have been its own, probably its own live or something like that, or video. But It just came out that way. So we gonna keep that. We're gonna keep it. But yeah, any thoughts? Like if you're not shy, there's no right or wrong of anything. We all, have a part in the collective consciousness and mind. So there's always something to add, um, or expand upon, or a different perspective or lens on a thing. So I might still do like a reading sometime, maybe this week, later this week, I'll do like a separate reading on where you're at on your spiritual journey, just personally, like where you're at. Um, but no, and then maybe love discernment if you guys still want to tap into the whole love discernment topic, just as like educational content type topics. But yeah, because we can go into it like specifically as far as like patterns a little bit more. Um, projections, things like that, and just readiness within yourself. Because again, like I said, every relationship that you have, the relationship that you have with yourself is the most important. It's the most important. Because if you lead from a perspective of hoping and wishing that humans are going to do you right, and I hope this goes well, and if I show up a certain way, this is what's going to happen, it don't work like that. You can't go in hoping. Go in with from a grounded place, a place that is self-aware, loving and care of self, and you're like what you get from it, not from a place of how can I take, because we see where that gets you. And let me before I forget, let's talk about this, honey child. Let's talk about this. Let me put my microphone for this because I was charging my phone for a bit. It's good now. Let me I gotta grab my microphone for this one. Hold on now. Hold on to your love. Okay. Okay. Let's get it. So, speaking of going in with a relationship thinking for self and thinking about self, there is a difference between thinking about yourself in a healthy sense of self, regulation and nervous system wellness. Is this a safe relationship? Is this healthy for me? Is this loving? Is this a relationship that produces good things, which is this person extends to my happiness and my joy. This person, pours good things into me. There's growth here in this relationship. There's constant, growth and evolution in the connection, and it's supportive. It's respectful, and as long as it aligns with each other, we got each other. But when it's no longer in alignment, we know how to let go. Versus, I'm going into this, how much money can this motherfucker give me? How many trips? I want to be with the soft life. And I do not want to demonize a person's passing. So just please, I'm trying to say this with much care as possible and much respect. But these women that go into these ideologies of the soft girls and the sprinkle mindsets, which I do agree with some of the things that she says from a standpoint of you respecting and honoring yourself, and sometimes like even having a realistic mindset when it comes to when it comes to dating from a place of not being overly emotional. What I don't agree with is that you should be avoidant of all emotions and not show any care or liking for a person to keep some score, some game going. I don't agree with that. And I also do not agree with looking at men as just, they're all just disposable, they're all just for money and that's it, get your bag and go. That's a transactional relationship, and some people do believe that, but that's the reality in the world that they choose to live in. They choose to surround themselves with people that echo that and that move and believe in that sort of ideology and that live that lifestyle. But that's a dangerous a dangerous lifestyle to have and to live. You know what I'm saying? It's very dangerous. Soft life shouldn't come with you pretty much selling your soul, being avoidant of emotions, only looking at a human being as what can you do for me, because human beings do not like being taken advantage of. They resent it at some point, especially if they find out that I'm just a lick, or even if they agree to that. You don't think that person resents that within themselves, that my only worth and value to a woman is how many trips I take her on and how much money I have and how much clout. You don't think that a person resents themselves first for that. Like, what's wrong with me that nobody finds value in me unless it's this? What happens when I don't have this? Is she not gonna fuck with me no more? Is she not gonna love me no more? So psychologically, like, I feel like the undercurrent of that is that can spill out into violence very easily. Resentment, hatred first. It could be resentment towards the self first, self-hatred a little bit, inner child wounds, especially if you weren't that dude and you weren't the most handsome, the most attractive, or you might have been a little nerdy, or some people might have called you corny, but then when you finally got something, or you know what I mean, you lost some weight, or you pumped up in the gym or something like that, now women want to fuck with you. In your mind, you're gonna look at these people like the women that did, or the girls in the schoolyard that used to tease you or didn't want you, didn't like you, called you names, said you were fat, or said you scrawny, or you too ugly, this, you that. So now you get the bad bitches, and you know why they're there. That's dangerous to me. I'm just like, that type of union or the lack thereof is a dangerous exchange either way it goes. And for the woman that feels like my only ability to have a quote unquote soft life. And soft life should just be more than just the trips and the bags and or whatever else in the cars. Soft life should be about your fucking internal world first. Should feel soft. A man should make you feel safe, protected, loved, seen, respected. Not just some Barbie doll in their arm, right? Or some box that they can, I'm paying for the pussy, so I paid for that YSL, bitch. You know, I bought you that drop top. What, like, you owe me. That's spiritual prostitution, as well as just, you might just call it what it really is. And for the heifers out here spewing that, because that might be what's in their inner world, that's how they lead with their love life and their vaginas and shit like that. That's not cool. And I just never thought that that's not something. And I guess if you can rally up that have been enough women that have been used and abused by men all of their life, maybe starting in the household with their fathers or an uncle or brother, you go in thinking that men are monsters. So every man that you date, oh, he's just a monster. He's just out for the pussy. So I might as well just sell it. I might as well just get my needs met. And it's not to say that it's just a fallacy or it's a fantasy, because, yeah, men can be very scandalous, very sexual, very predatory at times. Most definitely. We're not excusing that. We're not excusing that there is definitely a problem in the men's scope of things when it comes to young women and the little ones, the girls, um, the predatory behavior, the trauma and the woundedness that men carry, and some of them deep rooted history and hatred towards their own mother. And that shit can go deep depending on what culture, depending on what ethnic group you come from. Definitely in the Black community, I can speak on this, okay? And maybe in other diasporas of the African culture, whether you're in the Caribbean, whether you're in South America, wherever the fuck you at. If you had any slavery in your lineage at any point, that energy, especially the United States of America, the ghetto United States of America, their slave trade, and all the abuse that came with that psychologically, that is passed down from generation to generation. There's so much trauma in the community amongst each other, not just romantically, but different relations, relationally. The lack of trust, the lack of safety, the competitiveness, the survivalness, the I have to coddle my sons, because in slavery, the men were attacked specifically in a way to emasculate them, to humiliate them, to make the women feel unprotected, not safe, and that she needed to protect them, and she needed to cover them, she needed to sacrifice herself. And you see that in relation with the women in your family with their sons, the grandsons. You see that with in relationships where for just now, I feel like a lot of women of color are done with that sacrificial I have to. And naturally, if you embody that divine feminine, divine mother energy, you have that in you, but you have to learn that that comes with boundaries. You don't get to just labor off of my body, okay? Especially as a woman of color, especially as a black woman. The self sacrificing, even of the body in your womb, where you didn't have a choice, where your children were either ripped and stripped from you, whether you were bred to have more and more and more, the over sexual, hypersexuality of black men from being used as breeders as well, being raped themselves, being submitted to or having to submit to masters sexually for psychological. This just it goes beyond, you know what I'm saying? And I see it playing out. I see it playing out so much. Self hatred, even hating the own texture of your own hair, hating the texture of the woman that hair that you that's a part of your community. Her skin tone is just too dark for you. Your own skin is too dark for you. You're just not enough of this. You're not enough of that, or you're just too much of this. That is psychological warfare that people I feel like outside of the community don't understand and also don't want to touch on that because that would mean that they would have to take some level of accountability for that or carry a level of guilt that they don't want to admit to that some of their ancestors perpetrated these things that in human consciousness you can't even fathom how a human can be that disgusting, that level of demonicness I should say, to be able to do that and have the mind. You have to be demonically influenced and possessed by some type of entity to strategically think of ways to tear a human down in that way and torture a soul, because that's really what slavery was. It was torture to the soul, right? So your blood, your genes, your grandfather, your grandmother, your aunts, all those genes live inside of you. They live for quite some time. So you carry those things within you. You never forget it. Some of us literally are our ancestors, as I say. We literally are our ancestors. So no matter where you were in the world, whether you was in Brazil, whether you was over here in Haiti, Jamaica, wherever, right? That colonized entity spread itself all across the globe. That system of just demonicness is just like a democracy of like some type of dark, I don't know what the fuck, right? Why are you like, what is it about this seed that you have to seek to tear down so much? And that's another thing you got to ask yourself. Like, if you only knew your power, if you really loved yourself and the essence of who you were and what you are, you could transmute that. And it takes layers and it takes layers and layers and layers of that. If someone has to go around the globe to convince everyone that they are the superior race, you have to think, are you really superior? Because why do you need to convince the world of that? It's an entity, it's a spirit. That's why I always say like racism and white supremacy is demonic. It's a spirit. It's nothing that I can't even put a label. That's the only way that I can describe. It's just it's level of inhumane. It just lacks humanness. It lacks soul, I should say. It's dark. It's dark. So going back to the love discernment, until you love yourself, and I say this as women of color because since you were a child, you were taught that through media, maybe not in your home, because some of us, thankfully, we had people that took pride in their culture and in what they look like, and were taught that their skin was beautiful no matter what, that their size was beautiful, that where they come from was very rich. I'm grateful that I had a father that taught me to celebrate blackness no matter where it comes from, no matter if it's in America, no matter wherever it was, to celebrate that and find beauty in it. But if you don't love the skin that you're in because you were taught at a very young age through TV that you had to look a certain way and that your skin was too dark, your hair wasn't straight enough, or you weren't maybe thin enough, or your skin is too dark, your nose is too big, or you know what I mean? Like you were taught these things even if it wasn't said out loud, it was presented symbolically. It was imprinted through images constantly that you're being shown. And this is what beauty is. And this is what it looks like. This is what's undesirable. This is what's ugly. This is what's bad. This is what the whore. This is a whore. This isn't the woman that gets chose. This is the you're all this is the gangs and the thugs. This is what they all look like. This is the bad guy. When you're registering that as a kid, even in your cartoons are brainwashing you to believe this. Your first doll probably had blonde hair and was skinny, right? First doll probably was a Barbie doll. And back then, as far as like my mom's era, they didn't have black Barbies yet. So you can imagine you were forced to idealize and play and stroke and brush the hair of something that looked nothing like you, was not shaped like you. You could not identify with this because you don't walk around in the world in that sense. So you're kind of living vicariously through something that doesn't, that's psychological warfare, child. Tell me it is not. You have to think about these things a little bit, right? We watch a cartoon, they might use something that is not blatantly a person of color. It might be an animal. And that's another thing. There's like a psyche in the mind of people. And then also the opposite effect is happening with the children that do look like what's idealized. And they're looking at the opposite counterparts and going, oh, they're bad, they're ugly, they're evil, they're animals, they're slaves, they're maids, they're all big and, big in this and that. And there's nothing wrong with certain sizes, but it's like an archetype that they celebrate. And if you're a little boy and you're looking at the TV and they're showing you this is what's beautiful and this is just mommy mammy, this is just this and this is a gorilla person in your mind, you're not going to, if you don't have a brain of your own and you didn't have that instillment to love yourself, you'll look at that and you'll subconsciously take that on and say what looks like me is ugly. I don't desire that. I don't want to co-create with that. I don't want to marry that. It's a lot of brokenness. And I've decided not to get too deep into things, which you probably kind of already did. I decided that if I come across, because I have in my life, I've come across some guys that I've talked to and dated that are very colorist. Whether I was light enough for them, just barely making it the paper bag test. I barely made the paper bag test, child, to I'm just too dark for them. I'm not light enough. I don't have the pretty hair. I don't have the quote unquote good hair. Might be too kinky for some people, right? Um Hearing them say out of their mouth, "Oh, I don't date," cuz I asked this one person I was with. I said, um why don't you date dark skinned women? Your mom is dark skinned. He's like, I just don't like dark skinned women. And he's dark skinned. So I'm just thinking to myself, like, oh, thank God, um, if I would have procreated and our child would have been dark, you would have treated her like shit. It's unfortunate, possibly, because that's another weird ass thing is that men want their daughters to look like something they desire, which is kind of weird, a little sick to me. Not a little, a lot of sickness. But I told myself that if any man displayed any type of level of self hate towards not just women, but towards himself, that I would not date that motherfucker because he's not healed enough within himself that I don't want to take on the emotional labor, and I don't find pleasure. And I know that people that are quote unquote preferences or they might fall into the category of being the one that is preferred, even if let's say you're light enough, right? You like me, let's say, okay, I might be light enough for some men and he doesn't like dark skin when I can be like, well, at least he chose me. I'm not one of them. Because me, in my mind, I think that that man is sick. So I'm not looking at it as a flex to be like, well, at least I'm the preference. And that says a lot about you, bitch. Like if you think, oh, I'm the preference, you yourself, you're sick as well. And you're with a man that's sick enough that only values you, but he doesn't really value you. But let's say you think and he thinks he values you because you're light enough or you're quote unquote you have the good hair, the pretty hair, right? You have that you're good enough. Or you're you're that which I covet, or you're the archetype of what we all been taught through white supremacy that this is the ultimate, right? You might be close to proximity, or you might be that which they're taught is that. And you think in your mind, oh, if he's choosing me and he's tearing down women that are dark skinned or women that have coily, kinky texture, 4C hair, I'm better, I look better. You're a sick bitch too. And y'all relationship is built on a whole motherfucking lie. It's not real. You're just a fetish. He doesn't appreciate you. He doesn't genuinely love you. So like there's something inside of you as well. It could be a colonized mindset. You might have some ancestors fighting up in there that hates themselves and or also hates the very thing that, you know, so how can, and this is another thing that I'd be like, how do you say you love black men, right? But you're okay with him talking down about himself, the image of who he is. So that makes me think that like you're something's wrong with you, right? That's not a real genuine union. It's not. I don't want nothing to do with them type of motherfuckers. I don't find it attractive. I don't get off to that. I never did. I always thought it was kind of weird when a man be like, I don't like dark skinned women. I only like light skins and red bones and yellow bone is what he wants. Like, if you dealing with that, I don't want nothing to do with it. Something is wrong with you. I think there's obviously signs of mental illness and something within your spirit and your soul that's fighting against itself. And you need to work through that conditioning because you're not about to spew that hate onto me. And God forbid if I have, you know, everybody's okay with the dark skinned child of a male form. That's what's formed. Oh, that's masculinity, big dick energy. That's just the mandingo in the minds of a lot of people. So when you have a son, it's like, oh, my baby, my son. But if it's a dark skinned girl, then she's not as pretty, right? And you start treating her like, she's no. So I don't even want to risk those factors of having or procreating with someone that already has a disdain for what he looks like and the women. And if we have a dark skinned child or a girl and you just start acting in some type of way, I don't want nothing to do with that. You know, kids don't ask to be here. We bring them here. You know, technically, souls can choose to come, but I don't want to do that to a child. I don't want to bring a child into this world that's not going to be treated with respect and kindness and is looked at as by default ugly and not pretty enough and nappy head and all these other toxic words, right? I don't want to deal with that shit. It's not fair to the child, and I'm not putting myself in a toxic relationship like that. That's just my decision. I've made that decision very distinctively. You show any fucking display of colorism, bitch, get I'm not dating. I'm not fucking you. I'm not talking to you. I don't want nothing to do with you. I don't want nothing to do with you. And the oh, I'm not black. I'm I'm a different type of black. I'm a like, it's okay, rep your culture, but that's another thing too. Like almost like let me try to make myself distinctive. Like I'm not like you, motherfuckers. Or I don't, all that stuff is just like it's so anti-black. Like at the end of the day, the roots are the same. The roots are the same. When other people see us, they don't see, oh, this person is from New Orleans black. This one is from Texas black. This one from Brazil black. This one from Peru black. They Australian black, New Zealand black. They just see you as a nigga. Like they don't care. So while we over here, yeah, bitch, no. They don't care about none of that. They don't care. Okay, what Tupac say in Poetic Justice? He said, "We all family." Child for like, okay. So, yeah, distinctly, like we black, we all family. That's what he said verbatim. So, literally. So I don't deal with anti-blackness. I don't, even the outside of the race thing. Like, if you have some little fetishy little notions, bye bye. Okay, bye bye. Okay, it ain't chocolate, we ain't mocha, we ain't caramel. Like, show some respect. Okay, okay, all right. Cause like, why? I just get triggered. You know what I'm saying? Like, go back to the whole slavery thing, like the cookbooks where you used to cook the ancestors and stuff like that, how to make some delicacies out of black people, and you calling me chocolates and mochas and caramels and stuff. Like, to me, that sounds, it just kind of triggers that notion. Like, bitch, do you really want to eat us? Like you want a little, I don't taste like chocolate, okay? I don't taste like caramel. Maybe I don't know. No, but I'm good. I'm good off of it. Dating is scary enough, and to date someone that hates themselves in any kind of capacity, whether it's like their physicality, whether it's because they were bullied as a child or because they have this complex. Like, he might be buff and stuff now, but he could have been scrawny, and in his mind he's still that scrawny little boy that people used to make fun of and talk crazy to. So he, like, one little thing, if he feels emasculated, or if he feels like you're challenging him, or he feels like you're getting a little too much attention, or you might reject him, something might pop off. Nobody has time for that. Soon as you see any sign of abusive behavior and some more shit, somebody saying something crazy, that is your cue to go. But that goes down to morals and values. Some people don't mind men grabbing their arms or yelling at them and calling bitches and hoes or sluts, or saying that they only like light skinned women, or they don't date black women, and you're their first black woman. And some people might be okay and let that shit slide, but me and my morals and values, that's a red flag, and that's a sign for me to just dip out and go. Deuces, have a nice day. Especially, and this is another form of abuse and a little bit of testing your boundaries, and when they like uplift something that doesn't look like you, or they say, I usually don't date. They trying to demean you. So, first sign of that, I'm out. Because back then, in your mind, you think, well, I can prove I'm better. I can prove I'm different. Oh, I'm his first this, or he usually don't go for this. Oh, let me be different, or let me try to make myself into what that person might like. And I've tried to do that. I try to be, the bad bitch, the stripper esque, the vixen of the music video s, double XL s, and that's not me in that essence, in that type of form of sexual presentation. There's nothing wrong with that, but that's what a lot of young boys back then in my era, that was the type of woman that they were taught to like, was the women on the double XL magazines and the music videos and the Nelly videos and the tip drills and shit like that. The stripper videos, that's what they were taught, that was desirable, you know? So thinking that, you're not the ideal type, or you're square if you don't really gravitate to certain things, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, you can love hip hop, you can admire strippers and stuff, but still, be a little Disney-esque a little bit, have some balance. But I've found myself trying to morph into something that I was not plenty of times for a man, and I'm sure we've all been there to some capacity. Hey, Zaria, or Zaria. Girl, I'll be saying your name wrong. I'm so sorry, sis. Zaria. Blah. Wait, you gotta remind me how to pronounce it again, girl. I'm not gonna butcher. I'm sorry. Yeah, what do you mean I'm your first? Yeah, like first, whatever. And it doesn't have to always be a bad statement, but if it is, you're my first this, and it comes with some weird little sprinkle of something a little ashy behind it, something a little, little, give you a little squirm in your stomach, like, ew, what you talking about? What do you mean? Mm. I don't take it as a challenge. I'm not into competing with women in a sense of for a man, and It's just ashy. Like, I'm not into that. I think that that's disgusting because honestly, the majority of what I've seen in the male collective, there's no need for women to even get to the stoop to the level of unaliving another woman, fighting another woman, or putting her vagina up for a potential bug of STDs just for the sake of sharing and keeping a man and proving that I'm the better woman. Like, you gotta be very sick. And I'm thinking about this. Like, when I think about the side chick culture, bitch, you gotta be just really, you don't care about yourself. And I'm not just saying you don't care about yourself because you letting a man use you, and you're lowering your standards, but or you're competing with another woman per se, but you're putting your health at risk. Because if he don't care to like slide in you without, you know what, about what the, what makes you think he ain't doing that to her? And especially you nasty motherfuckers that like to eat booty and stuff like that, and like don't think that they ain't doing it to this person or somebody else. If they're willing to bounce back between you and this person that you know of, because you don't know about the other ones, and if you know about the other ones, you putting your pussy in danger. You're putting your mouth in danger. You're putting your more than that because some STDs can turn into other things. So it's just not worth it for some dusty dick. Like, dick is not that good to the point of getting, killing yourself. It's just not. Okay. If it's some type of ethereal dick or something like that, I mean, unless it is, I don't get it. I don't care how much money comes with it either. It just doesn't make sense to do that to your body. It doesn't make sense to do that to your soul because you're sharing your essence and your energy with probably five other, probably more other heifers. Okay. Some of these motherfuckers, other men. Okay. They sliding that up in something else. They having, a little cocktail of booty here and there. And y'all over here thinking like, oh, I'm gonna give him the best head ever. Just, I don't mean to get so graphic, okay? But I feel like I have to, okay? I hope that there's younger women that watch this because a lot of the younger women too that I'm seeing in the collective, y'all still stuck on stupid. And we all been stuck on stupid. I know I have. And I think like when you're in your 20s, at least like 25, around there, you are kind of still just ding, 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 ding. Everything is just like, dick this, dick that. I want a man. Ah, I want a husband. Ah, I don't care. I'm the bad bitch. I'm the one. Let me prove myself. I got the best pussy he's ever had. I'm gonna be this, and I can cook. I can clean. I could wear some lingerie. Still stuck on stupid. Still stuck on stupid. You know, still stuck on stupid. Oh, when can I'm sorry, y'all. Let me. It might be jokes, but I don't feel like some women be joking when they say this. Okay, I'm not gonna say the artist's name because I don't want none of that driving on my. Uh, I don't want none of those people. It's almost like the Beehive when you say something like about but Jesus, that's their Jesus, right? You say something about her, everybody just here they come. Okay, but this one particular male artist that women just are so lost in lust over that they can't see nothing else. This nigga done said 1,000 times that he don't like a certain type of woman or he don't want a certain woman up in the business of his surrounding areas. And he procreates with a very specific archetype, and y'all still just like, "Ah, when can I be the next baby mama? He could never make me him." And enjoy the nigga's music. I do, but it's cringy when I see the comments and like, in childhood, we all loved him. Like, you know what I mean? We had the posters and the CDs and all of that. We had that, the DVDs, the concert tickets. I done been to a couple of the shows, yes. Um, but I don't know. Like I don't get it. Like, what do you mean why do you wanna be the next baby? You know what I'm saying? Like the baby mama culture too. And as one, I made some poor choices at a young age. It didn't work out. So here I am, a baby mama, right? But to willingly want to go into that because the nigga fine or you like the way he backflips and Um, whatever else. You like the light skinnedness of him. I don't know. Whatever it is, I don't get the desire in any man like case. Like, why would you want to end up being just that? And babies are very precious. Again, they don't necessarily ask to be here. So for you to just get your rocks off and think, oh, I'm just gonna have a baby with this ninja because he fine, is very poor. And that's why you have a lot of kids with the psychological trauma because their moms were just wanting to just they was just down to fuck and they was stigmatized. And here we are, right? We're here and you don't know how to love us because you was just getting it in. You was having a good time. You weren't thinking about it. He definitely wasn't thinking. He don't give a fuck about, he's just getting it in. So I don't get it. I don't really understand the baby mama desire to be a baby mama culture. I remember around a little bit after I was out of high school, I think I had been like 18 when this show came out, but the 16 and pregnant thing I feel like was propaganda to definitely kind of entice young girls to fantasize about being a baby mother and having babies as these little cute trinkets and give them all these little new age names like Sage and um, Bentley was one of them. Lavender, whatever fucking little whimsical names that they coming out with. Cash and Nevaehs and all this shit. Them names. So I want to dress my baby up in Gucci and put little earrings in their ears and Timberlands and all kind of just dumb shit. Put them in fucking Abercrombies and Fitches or whatever they was doing. Okay, that I feel like was propaganda to also not just get young girls to fantasize about being mothers and having children, but even more so fornicate and to have sex. And so unfortunately, that was a whole thing that was happening around the time that I came out of high school, like this whole the baby boom of these younger children or young, having babies, these younger generation of kids and not being fully prepared for that. So if the kids you see nowadays is wilding out, you know why? Because their parents were babies. It was a big generation of that. And these kids don't know left from right. They don't know what left is. They don't know what right is. They don't know how to tie their shoe half the time in their mind. They don't know what 2 plus 2 is. All they know is trippy red, party, whatever the fuck they be listening to. Um, they don't know nothing, hardly. Some of these kids around that era, they're almost like some of them are like shells of people. It's very weird. Um, Almost like soulless, some of them, not all of them, but like a chunk of that era of kids was born in that timeline, there's like something off with them. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what that's about. Yeah. So, yeah, it's a lot going on. I want to talk about a lot of other things, but I feel like we'll be on here forever talking about the crazy madness and the shit we have to learn because, I could say as a young mother, as I was, um, I didn't think I was gonna have kids. Like I've always loved kids. I just didn't see myself as a mother. Like maybe because I was the big sister in my household and all my siblings, it was just kind of like a little mini mom at times, especially since your mom works and sometimes my mom was younger, so she still went out and stuff like that. So I just didn't see that for myself. Like I didn't see myself being that or not at that age. That was not in the plans. But of course, when you're careless and you're what, dickmatized and you're doing that whole thing, you ain't thinking. So I say this out of love. Let's not be dignitized because this era of men right now that we live in, like the men that's old enough to date and marry and procreate, you guys to be more careful. And even the younger generation of girls that's still in high school and middle school, that should be the furthest thing from your mind because a lot of them they don't have much to model after. The good dads, they exist, but the programming is too deep. It's too toxic, it's too advanced to the point where there's some serious need for inner work. Serious need for it. Very serious need to go within self. And for men, I don't know how easy that is for them. I don't know, like, because that's not a realm of existence that most men tap into or they feel comfortable tapping into. Um, and what makes me a bit sad is the fact that it gets turned around and projected onto women and their unalivement and children as well, because a man does not know how to regulate his emotions. He doesn't know how to deal with his rage or his anger. Even if that woman did do something to you, do you have enough willpower and self-worth to say, I choose to work on myself, heal myself, choose better for myself, leave this heifer alone and move on with my life, heal through the anger, rather than throwing your life away and sometimes even unaliving your own self? Your soul is going to have to process that and come back or whatever it has to do. And it may be not even in a state of of peace. I feel like, spiritually, it only makes sense that your soul would not be at rest if that's the way that you decided to do things, in your lifetime, your last lifetime. But that's the result of unhealed trauma. And some women, yes, I'm going to blame both sides at some, not all cases, but some of these women using their energy to manipulate, to harm, you know what I'm saying? And toxic relationships, being in an experience where I was in a toxic relationship for a few years. I think had to been like a 6-year relationship. It was a very long time, over 5 years, that it was toxic on both ends. And it could have turned really ugly because when you do things to each other, such as cheating or lying, putting your hands on people, being in abusive relationships, if you are not someone that can master your emotions and your anger, you can do something that you cannot reverse and you cannot change. Or you don't know how your actions will affect a person or how someone's actions can affect you. That's why, like, don't even get involved in toxic relationships. For what? I'm to the point where I used to be like, okay, a person can cheat one time and really be over it, and that's possible. But I'm like to the point where I'm like, I don't even think I could even trust that anymore because it's almost like saying, I forgive you. And that person in their mind, like, oh, they forgave me once, so forgive me again. And don't be married because that motherfucker's like, well, we're married, so you're not going to be able to just leave like that. I don't even know if I would even like forgive it, like forgive and stay. I would forgive and move on. You know what I'm saying? um because it's too much pain with that. But the constant cheating, like, it gets to a point where it does affect you psychologically, where it does hurt you, where you might actually think about doing something to someone and you don't know even the first time someone finds out how painful that is. And we get caught up in your lust and all of that, and you start sleeping around or messing with somebody, maybe, this person knows these things that I'm telling y'all by the grace of God, that I can still talk about certain things, because if it would have been in this day and time, I don't know. Especially with, like I said, the level of trauma and the hatred of women that is like so exposed in men. I can't even say it's a new thing. I just feel like they're comfortable with revealing it, or we can see it now because, again, revelations. We're in that era. We are in that era, that age of Aquarius, where everything is revealed, where you can now see certain things that maybe have always been there. Um, just didn't have the psyche to decode it or discern it or see it for what it was. And yeah, granted, like, certain platforms make it more accessible or make it a placement for comfortability for these certain types of men to just talk. All they talk about is the hatred of women and how women ain't shit and that they need to do this. They need to humble themselves. They ain't that pretty and they didn't hit the wall. Sitting there looking like toads, looking like underground trolls and shit, looking like crossbreds of fucking, I don't know, having the nerve to talk about the lack of desirability because of a woman's age, and if they don't have kids, oh, they're not, just the sick shit that comes out of some of these people's mouths. And you got to think about, A lot of them, number one, heavy trauma. They don't know how to deal with it. They don't want to. And the more triggered they will become, the more women become more sovereign within themselves and honor themselves and honor their femininity, the more triggered they will become, because it's a mirror effect of the unhealed process trauma they have with their own femininity and the femininity connected to maybe the women in their lives. Starting with them, some of them, most of them, their mother, right? Some of them resented maybe how controlling, how abusive she may have been. Some may resent the fact that she was not someone that was sovereign and did not protect herself nor protect them. So it can go in different ways. The first woman to ever hurt them, the first woman they ever loved, or the first crush they had, they're all that. And men don't like to admit it, but they're very emotional. They are very sensitive. They are. And they don't see the superpower in it, so they defeat it, they fight against it by showing more of emotional imbalance by the things that they do, their violent behavior, their um, uncontrollable outbursts, speech, um, the argumentiveness. They can't control that. That's a form of an imbalanced emotion. Okay, it's a form of imbalance, period. So the fact that you have these men taking these women out, if nobody else can have you, nobody will. You see these successful women being unalived by their husbands and things like that. That is a form of a man that I guarantee you, if you go into the story of these ninjas, if you were to sit down with them, if they're still here, because some of them are cowardly that they took their own selves out. But if you talk to some of these men, if you go into a therapist mode, and ask them, start with your childhood, you're gonna hear something. Something happened between the ages of, from whatever they can remember, 4 or 5, to their adolescence, teen years. There's something there. Something happened. Something bothered them, something hurt them. There's some type of dysfunction in their household, or some type of lack of invalidation. Something happened to them, or something that they process in a negative way that they're carrying as a grown man, that carried out certain things. And then there are those women that get caught up in karmic relationships with a man that they should have left alone, um, stayed in the karmic cycle with them, or constantly, doing things, cheating on each other, getting their licks back, putting spells on them and shit like that. All of that shit will backfire. Then you have some that's like, you're not moving on. Nobody else can have you. If I can't have you, nobody will, type of shit like that, because they're crazy. And it's so unfortunate, because some of us, we're not taught to value our worth over a man. So many of us, in many cultures of women, are taught that marriage is a prize, and you have the fucking Disney movies that's sitting here glamorizing the fucking centering men and romance in every fucking story, heroic story. I don't care if it's fucking Mulan, because I know some people are like, oh, she wasn't trying to chase no man. She still fell in love with him. She got the job done, but she still fell in love. It's still centered around some fucking romance, okay? And don't get me started on that heifer Ariel. Now, I give Ariel grace because she was a teen, but she was very, very pick-me-ish, okay? Bitch, how you gonna get rid of your fins, your form, your beautiful mermaid fin, and your beautiful voice, which is a power of a siren? That tells you just how weak we can be, okay? She didn't even get no dick. She couldn't even get no dick, 'cause she had a fin, okay? Some mermaid lords that will tell you that they know how to split they split their fins so they can entice the sailors and stuff, right? She didn't even split it, okay? She didn't even get split. She was just seeing this man on a boat, whatever he got going on. Okay. It's like, I want him. I want to get on land. But she always wanted to get on land. She just wanted to experience it, right? And don't mermaids, from my understanding, mermaids have the ability and the power to use magic. So she could have easily, especially like in the story of the Orishas, I believe Olokun asked to be on land or something like that for a time, like wanted to experience life not as a mer person. or mer being or creature and wanted to have feet and walk on land or something like that for a time. So it's like, okay, I get it. You want to, shapeshift. However, to be like, take my voice so I can be on land, so I can get this ninja, I saved him off the boat. So I feel like I owe getting the dick after all. That's what it was given. Like she just, and I think to myself, like, there wasn't no fine mer ninjas down there that you could have found, they didn't have nobody. There's just you, your sisters, and your dad, and some fish and some lobsters from Jamaica. I didn't understand all of that. I didn't get what they was trying to convey to the children. As a child, I love that movie. That's one of my favorite Disney movies. And don't get me started on Pocahontas. Same thing. The bitch got the job done in their depiction. They didn't tell the whole, pedophilic aspect of it and how it was more heinous than what they depicted it to be. But they always gotta have the little white savior man up in the movies. The savage people. I don't see them as savages. They're real. They're just normal people. Let me convince my other white supremacist counterparts that these people aren't savages. See, you know, they're real cool people. Even though we gonna steal this young woman. We gonna make her look like a bad bitch though in this one. She gonna have some hips and a little ass and some thighs. We're gonna take her back to London with us. She's coming with us. That movie is crazy. Now that I think about it, all the male centeredness. We gonna have some princesses. Some of these heifers they had to become princesses until they got the dick. Okay, Princess Tiana worked her ass off at her little restaurant. She had to be a frog. She got to be initiated as a frog first before she could have her little restaurant and then become somebody. It wasn't bad enough that she was the underclass, and it's just too much. But I don't want to ruin the fantasy for you guys because, hey, Disney movie is all fantasy. Okay, it tells a little bit of truth, it sprinkles a little bit of it, but then it twists it so it's not that bad. But it can still sprinkle in the propagandas or two or three or four or five propagandas at once. And your kids will sit and watch it and rewind it, like we used to. Just sit there, pop the tape, watch it, put the DVD on, play it over and over, sing the shit psychologically. I want to be a part of that world. So I could just, just exclude my needs, excuse me, exclude my nature, so I can become a part of this motherfucker's world. Because I want to be with this ninja so bad. I don't give a damn. But like I said, Ariel, she was a young girl. Her daddy, he was very overly protective. He would rub me the wrong way too. I'd be like, nigga, I'm not listening to you. You just doing too much. You telling me I can't have my trinkets. I can't like I don't want to deal with you. Like you're telling me I can't have any type of life. Like I wouldn't want to deal with him. He's giving like Selena's dad in the movie Selena, what's his name, Abraham, whatever. That's what he was given. He was given that. So I see why she kind of rebelled a little bit. And then she didn't have no mama. She had no figures. Her sisters, they kind of seemed like they was just about themselves, like they were a little older. They weren't thinking about Ariel. So she had her little friend Flounder, Sebastian with his little fucking, a few times when I watched that movie, especially the new one with Holly Bailey, I wanted to put him in some curry and some coconut and like with some rice. Like I just kept thinking about that, thinking about Sebastian. Like I couldn't look at him in a friend way. I was looking at him like a dish. Okay, unfortunately, I was looking at him as a dish. But yeah, Ariel didn't have no friends. She'd have nobody she could relate to like her. They obviously didn't have no little teen mer ninjas for her that she could, get with or, hang out with, I should say, get to know. And for all we know, Eric probably was older than her or some shit. Disney. Disney be sliding in, they, like I said, propagandas, not just one. They be sliding some other shit in there. But yeah, I blame Disney for the male centeredness that we all have to, I should say, I would encourage us to decenter romance. Like, don't take it out of the equation if that's truly what's in your heart and truly what you want, but have a standpoint from a healthy standpoint of what romance is and that it's a part of life, right? It will happen when it is meant to happen. It doesn't have to be forced. You don't have to settle. You don't got to fight for it. You don't have to degrade yourself for it. It's not that serious. And if a man is not of substance or value of any point to your life, not just money wise. Like if he's like stressing you the fuck out, he makes you feel like shit. The only time you feel valued is if he's talking about something physical about you or something you did good in bed or how you cook and how you take care of him, but nothing about you. Like he doesn't care about you as a person. He doesn't care about your happiness. He doesn't care about your wellness when you're down or sad, what your dreams are. He doesn't give a fuck about you. Then you shouldn't give a fuck about him. Plain and simple. And that goes for anybody, not just a romantic partner. But if they don't give a fuck about you, genuinely don't give a fuck about you, why do you give a fuck about them? And not to say like you don't care in your heart, like you just, oh, I don't, you're dead to me. Some people get to that point where you're just dead to me. But to a point where you don't give as much. You don't give a fuck about them more than you give a fuck about yourself. Like you stop doing that. I don't find it heroic. I don't find it admirable. And even like I'll say this for myself, like looking back in the past, there was nothing admirable and healthy about me putting people's needs over my own to the point of what was harmful to me and they didn't give a fuck. There's nothing admirable about a person saying, "Well, they beat me, they cheat on me, but I love him. I'ma stay." I don't there's nothing like, "Oh, girl, that's so sweet. That is so sweet, girl." No, there's nothing sweet about that. It's abuse toward yourself. There's nothing admirable about that. But I just love them so much. I get it. I've been there. When you stuck on somebody, sometimes you are not seeing clear. You're cloaked in the bullshit to where you can't fully see that you're sleeping in shit. It's like it's stinking here a little bit. But then you get used to the funk a little bit, so you don't know that it's dysfunction that you're just in, right? But it takes for you to be like, you know what, this is just it's making me sick now. It's becoming very toxic to the point where I feel sad all the time. I feel depressed all the time. I'm getting suicidal. Like when you start getting to those places where you just like you feel numb, it's time to go. It's time to go. A relationship of any kind that strips you of your humanity, that makes you feel, or any person, they never loved you. That motherfucker never loved you. You can't just turn to a point of I adore you so much to the point of I just fucking can't stand you and I hate you. No, you never really liked me. You like the idea of me. You like certain parts of me. To love a person is to really know a person. If you really know a person through and through and you still love that person, then you love them. But not to the point where you don't love yourself. That's not real love. That's a toxic form of love. That's a toxic form of love. It's a avoidance of yourself and saying, I'll give all of my love and my energy into this one person, but fuck me, I don't give a fuck because you don't really want to deal with yourself. So it's easy to almost be kind of a little bit parasitic because that's really what it is. It's parasitic to be all about one person but not about yourself. Like you're taking, you know what I mean? Or that person is taking from you. And they didn't ask for that. That's a form of manipulation. I talked about this with one of my good friends. We were just talking about how that's a bit of a form of manipulation. How it's like, um, I'm gonna make this person take my love. You're gonna take it because I'm giving it to you. I want you to have it, even though this person does not respect it or they may not want it. That's a form of manipulation. You're trying to forge a relationship where it shouldn't be. And that is why a lot of times that people go through these relationships that they resent later, like this person didn't do this and he didn't do that or she didn't do that because maybe you try to forge something to happen and this person really didn't want that, you know. um if this person gets to a point where they say, okay, fuck it, let's be together, let's get married. I've heard of this. I think I shared this story before on the channel about a person close to me. I can't say what the relationship is because I don't know who be watching my channel. I think, some of my family, they do subscribe to my channel and stuff. So I gotta be careful with what I say. But they wanted this man so bad. This man was a fucking cheater. Not only that, he was a fucking womanizer. This motherfucker was up in the church, parading around telling different women in different churches that God told them or told him that these women were his wives. Like he would tell these different women this, right? And you're instilling in these women hope. You're instilling or activating in them a hope of marriage, or some of them already prayed and asked for husbands. So you're coming in as a false prophet in this woman's life, presenting very devilish of you to present yourself as, I'm the man that God that you asked God about, and God told me. From one, that's a fucking lie. Okay, God never told you that these women was your wife, and if He did, or if you think He did, why are so many of them? Why are you thinking all these different ones, like these multiple ones? So this family member finally gets the man to marry her under circumstances that were not, in my opinion, not ideal, not in an ideal setting or situation. He ended up dying of some heart situation. And I said that feels to me like a little bit of a divine justice in a sense, or like just a divine alignment, because you played with these women's hearts. So many women's hearts that you broke, and that something happened to you in that capacity. And I feel like you were playing with God. You was playing with these women's spirits. In essence, you don't know what kind of ancestors these women got. You sat up here and did all of that. That to me is very evil. That's what I be talking about, the warlocks and stuff. That's what I be saying. Like, they know what women want to hear, and they don't care. They will use little codes like, you're my soulmate, you're my twin flame, we're star-crossed lovers, God told me, whatever codes, right? The angel numbers and stuff. They try to make it feel like it's all meant to be, you know? to get you hooked if you're a spiritual woman. And that's why you gotta have discernment, because a lot of women be playing spiritual. It's a game for men, but women, like, they like the idea of, I'm spiritual, I'm an empath, all the little code words. So you make it easy for ninjas to come in, hey goddess, hey queen, grand rising, you know, yeah, I believe in soulmates, I believe in twin flames, and I'm buzzword. And then, you're hooked. Then you start seeing synchronicities, you start manifesting them out of your own motherfucking conscious most of the time. Y'all don't know y'all be doing that? Okay? Manifesting motherfucking things in your consciousness. And sometimes you get messages from the universe about a person, but you think it's saying, this is your soulmate, this is your twin flame, instead of discerning what that fucking message is telling you, because it might be your ancestors warning you that this person is playing you, that they're not who they say they are. But no, we like to be in Disneyland all the time, willing to sacrifice our fins and our singing voice and our voice for a little bit of dick, and just to be a part of the world, just a part of the world, child. Just, I wanna be where the niggas are. I wanna see them trap me. Like, you just want to be a part of that. Takes away from you. It takes away from you. It don't give you nothing. Okay. Yeah, she lived in the penis palace. Wasn't there like a little palace? Or no, that was like the treasures in the under the sea. The little penis little treasure thing on the cover. She lived in the end of the movie. Yeah, she did. Her dad gave her his blessings, like this little heifer, she don't want to be a part of this no more. At least we can swim every now and then and visit the bitch. I have Flounder and Sebastian monitor her ass, make sure she good. But this is where she want to be. You know, who knows? Maybe Eric got the hookup on certain, perks and things that might help. Because Poseidon just gives me, like I said, he gives me this vibe that I ain't gonna say that. Let me not say that. I'm not gonna say that. Is that his name? Was it Poseidon? No, it was Triton. King Triton. Gives Poseidon vibes a little bit. Yeah, but that's neither here nor there. But they're not telling the real Disney stories. They're not, or the real stories that Disney gets these these fairy tales and all this, they don't tell you everything, okay? They ain't gonna give you the Hansel and Gretel version of it. They just gonna kind of cloak it a little bit to fit a narrative, whatever it can do to program your children. And it did a number on us 80s, 90s babies. Them goddamn Disney princess films. Get married. Sacrifice whatever you have to just to get the man, sis. That's what it's trying to tell you, right? And then what does it teach boys? Women got to cater to us. I don't care if I came out of your womb, bitch. You gonna cater to me. You gonna cook. You gonna clean. You gonna get on these knees, okay? You gonna get pretty for me. You gonna, compete with other bitches for me. That's how it goes, okay? You'll sacrifice your little job, your little career, your little purpose, so you can be with me. Like, that's what it's giving. It's giving I'm the prize. That's why, like, some of y'all are dumbfounded when men be acting the way that they do. Look at the shit that they showed us as kids. And if their daddy lived like that, like he treated the mom like you owe me, bitch. Don't let him be fine or think he's something. He really gonna be a bad bitch. He really gonna be that. They mean it when they say that they mean that shit. When they're like, I'm living my bad bitch, they mean that. They're just openly now feeling comfortable enough to tell you that. I'm the prize. You gonna chase me. But those are the wounded ones. Real men are not trying to seek validation and trying to be seen. They don't like being chased by women. A man that likes to pursue what they want and they like things to flow naturally, you know what I mean? Like they like the actual pull and magnetism and attraction that flows between two human beings. They're not into the women chasing and proving to them. That's a little flammy little wounded soldiers that like that shit, that feel like you owe them something. They want to be the princess. They want to kick their feet up. They want to wear the glass slipper, bitch. Trust and believe. Those are the ones. They want the glass slipper. Them. Okay? Yeah. They want you to be the prince in shining armor and come get them and come cater to them. They want that. Because they don't respect their own femininity, so therefore they're not going to respect the embodiment of that. Hence the covetousness. Why they covet it so much? They want to wear the glass slippers. They want to get chose. Yeah, it's a turn off. Like I don't think that's cute. Like a man that wants, the one it's giving. Hmm, I'm not gonna be one of those ones to be like, oh, they're all down low, they're DL. No, I feel like it's more so of an unhealed feminine energy within them that it's misplaced, it's imbalanced. So instead of fully, like, you know what I mean, like embodying that energy for themselves and giving to themselves and like having that, they want to pull that energy, they want to suck it, they want to take it from a woman. They want that for themselves, which is why it's not normal for you when you go out and a man is like not pursuing you. They don't make the plans. It's not giving someone that's embodied and reads the room. Because if he's masculine, he's going to assert, he's going to direct and lead and plan. If he's embodied in his femininity as well, he knows how to read the room, he can respect femininity. But if it's not there, it's just not click-a-lacking. So they're performing masculinity and it comes out aggressively. It comes out, anger. It comes out entitled. It comes out in a overly hyperly sexual way as well. Okay. Um, and some of the confusion that some of these people be saying, oh, he's confused, he's sexually confused. Some of it really is the fact that they're not balancing their femininity and they see other men that might be feminine. So it's kind of like they're drawn to that too. right? They're confused in that sense because they're seeing other people embody and perform or project a certain level of femininity that they have not embodied within themselves. And I'm not talking about gender energy per se. I'm talking about how femininity in receptivity and spiritual sense, how femininity and masculinity operate, where they don't know how to do that. They don't have any type of emotional awareness. They don't care to go into that subconscious realm. Again, it's too much. So therefore, let me take it. And going back to what that video that I saw, it was a short. She broke it down very very good, where she said they would have to do the inner work, and they're not willing to do the inner work, which is so true, because to be in your feminine energy, you're tapping into the subconscious, you're tapping into your emotional realm, you're having to nurture, you're having to sit with that energy and flow in that. And if that's not how you operate, you're not even going to want to deal with it. It's too much. It's too much work. It's too much accountability. It takes too much ownership to do that. It's easy to project a certain energy, easy to project masculinity or to project femininity, and that's why it comes off aggressively, like how drag queens, when they're doing a show, right? That's performative femininity, right? It's big titties, the oversized eyelashes, the big wigs, big lips. It's like a form of exaggeration. It's a performance, right? So same thing with masculinity, that's performative. It's overly aggressive. It might be, oh, she every fucking woman you see, you got to make a comment. That's performative. That's why they say sometimes when men are down low, they are overly sexual. I don't feel like every man is down low that does it. I feel like that's a person that's not balancing their femininity, or they're not tapped into it. So they have to overperform and overexert masculinity because there's no balance. So with that, I'm gonna leave this topic alone because I didn't mean to be on here this long, child. Goodness. Y'all could have told a bitch she was doing too much. Though. Oh Lord. Yeah. Yeah. So that's mm, that was a lot. Um, if you guys enjoyed this video, make sure you guys like this video, share it with someone as a topic of discussion. You know, we here for a little, just a little discussing. I greatly appreciate y'all. I'm trying to update the title. If you guys would like a reading with me, if you guys like in depth and straight to the like, I shouldn't say straight to the point, because sometimes y'all be like, this bitch don't get straight to the point, because I go in layers of the message. But if you want something that's in depth, something that does not shy away what you need to know, what you need to hear, in a loving way, of course. Okay, I'm not here to I ain't here to hurt nobody, okay? But you like healing messages, truth, clarity, honesty, no sugarcoating, no lies. You want a straight, no chaser. You guys can book a reading with me right now. I do have a giveaway from my Altar Essentials gift box. So if you book a phone session, that's 2 entries. And if you book a voice recorded reading, that's 1 entry. And that deadline ends on Friday, May the 1st. And I'm going to announce on my birthday, May the 4th, this coming Monday, the winner. I'm going to do a live spin the wheel or spin the name so you guys can see live the raffle who I choose for this gift box. And you can choose between 4 of the themes in the box. It comes with a signature Siren devotional candle of mine, an anointing oil, an altar water, if you're familiar with Florida water, a spiritual bath salt, a mojo bag, and I think that's everything that comes in it. And like I said, you could choose your theme between the road opener theme, the prosperity theme, the self return theme, or the spiritual protection theme. So each theme will have a candle, an oil, mojo bag and a bath salt that correlates with that theme. And then the altar water is an add-on because altar waters can be used for a multitude of things. So if you guys are interested in that, you guys can check out my website and you guys can book the phone sessions on my book online tab on the right hand corner of my website. For the voice recorded readings, scroll down a bit. It's going to be on the shop tab, but you got to scroll a few pages to get to that because I do have items on that page as well. You guys can also purchase my anointing oils for separately. My altar salts, baths, or spiritual baths, salts, and my altar waters. I have them in a much bigger, nice, pretty glass bottles. You guys, I have my Florida water, my Peruvian, my Cananja water that I make all from scratch, natural ingredients. Mojo bag fixings and workings. If you don't know how to make your own mojo bag, I will add the herbs. You guys can add any items, any trinkets, or anything else that you want to bring life to it. You just have to tend to it weekly. I do not make things to work against other people, to hex people, to bind. I don't do that shit, and my workings are fixed to not be that. So even if you try to do that shit, tread lightly. Don't do that, okay? So these mojo bags are for your wellness, for your embetterment, for your protection, or whatever the intent is for you that is of the highest good of yourself and others around you, not to harm. Then you guys can check out my website for that. You guys have any questions, go ahead, reach out. Don't be shy. I'll be more than happy to assist you. If you're new here, subscribe, like the video, and until next time, y'all be blessed, be safe, take care. Peace.